The shot gave way to a potent cocktail of envy, jealousy, and utter admiration. What kind of karmic debt did this guy pay off in a past life to deserve this kind of vicious retribution? He's a role model for us all. I wonder if he offers classes. Cole quickly scanned the room, savoring the moment. It felt good. The other girl's face turned ugly. She wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Anyone with eyes could see that comparing herself to Serena would be an exercise in self-humiliation. Her ex-boyfriend was no longer glaring at Cole. He was no longer qualified. Instead, he looked at the girl with an expression of pure, unadulterated schadenfreude. The humiliated girl finally directed her fury at her ex, shooting him a hateful glare before turning and storming out of the dining hall. Her two friends scrambled to follow. The ex-boyfriend had a moment of hesitation, but after a word from his friends, he chased after them. "Cole, I'm hungry," Serena said, her frosty demeanor melting away as she looked up at him with pitiful eyes. "All right, let's go get some food," Cole said, cheerfully squeezing her hand. The two of them walked to the food counter as if they were the only people in the world. Everyone else in the dining hall seemed to slow down their eating. A goddess, after all, was a sight to be savored by both men and women. The women watched with a mix of envy and a desire to learn. The men, well, their reasons were less important. As for Cole, he was the target of only jealousy and curiosity. Could it be? Does he have some secret talent? Some hidden greatness? A few of the more daring girls wondered, their eyes slyly drifting toward his crotch. Cole was just trying to eat his dinner when he suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. He shifted in his seat, a strange feeling of unease washing over him. "Today, Spencer and I took the ferry, and then we went to sea." Serena began to recount her day's journey with enthusiasm. And then, Cole smiled, picking up a piece of lotus root with his chopsticks and feeding it to her. "And then we went to that old historic tower, the one from the poem. It was so crowded," Serena said, chewing the lotus root. With a sly grin, Cole then used the same chopsticks to snag a piece of chicken from her plate, popping it into his own mouth. Sensing the numerous eyes on them, Serena ducked her head in embarrassment and began shoveling rice in her mouth, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird. There's so many people, and he's being like this again. Does he really want to kiss me that badly? What do I do? I've never kissed anyone before. Will my lips swell up? The students, secretly watching, were all in shock. Is this really the flower of the law school? Men and women alike. They kept their faces neutral while cursing internally. A shameless couple. Are they going to let us eat or not? For some, it was a delicious dinner. For others, it felt like swallowing thorns. After eating, Cole took Serena for a walk to aid their digestion, listening as she recounted the rebellious coming-of-age story of her cousin, Spencer. They wandered, and soon they found themselves at the entrance to the Golden Bay residences. "Cole, where is this?" Serena asked curiously as he started to walk in. Though she asked, she followed him obediently. "For now, this is our home," Cole said with a mysterious smile. "Our home," Serena echoed, slightly confused, though her face was already turning pink again. She followed him into Building C, watched as he took out a key, and opened the door to apartment 2201. Stepping inside, she saw that it was a nice, spacious apartment. "Our home. I bought it," Cole said, a hint of pride creeping into his voice again. "What?" Serena's mouth fell open. "When did you buy this?" She wanted to ask how much it cost and how he could afford it, but she felt that would be improper. "A little while ago. You remember when I told you guys to bet on the World Cup?" Cole said, leading her on a tour of the apartment as he explained. "I remember," Serena answered automatically, then paused. The realization dawned on her. Wait, Cole, how much did you win? If she and her friends had made money, she couldn't imagine how much Cole himself had won. A couple million. I got lucky and bought this place for a good price. And I also started 2 companies. They're just getting off the ground. After seeing the kitchen, he led her to the master bedroom. He'd already replaced the mattress and bought new bedding. It was convenient for resting. Yes, just resting. Definitely not for doing anything naughty here one day. When it came to his assets, Cole figured he should either say nothing or tell her everything. Serena's face was a canvas of astonishment. 2 companies? No wonder he's been so busy sometimes. As she sat on the sofa and listened to him lay it all out, Serena's eyes sparkled. She didn't care what the companies were or how much money was involved. The fact that he was telling her made her feel a special kind of joy. She loved this feeling, and he hadn't gone on a spending spree with his new wealth. He was building things. It gave her a sense of security and a dizzying feeling of admiration. It was rare to see someone with money who wasn't extravagant. Even her cousin Spencer was a big spender, not to mention others. Just a short while ago, She had been planning to ask Spencer for a loan of $1 million or $2 million to help Cole start business. Now, it seemed, that wouldn't be necessary. As she listened, a weight lifted from her shoulders. What was I even stressing about? This is great. How much money is enough? Does he have to be some high-ranking official with immense power? Suddenly, she felt that Cole was the most wonderful person in the world. The sight of his profile made her feel faint. He was such a lecherous bad boy. Will he be like this with other girls? What if other girls come on to him? Should I kiss him? Serena's mind was a chaotic mess. Companies, money, none of it mattered anymore. All she could think about was kissing him. Should she? How? For how long? Cole glanced over and saw his campus queen's adoring, yet conflicted expression. He was inwardly gloating, though he kept his face a mask of calm. Hiv hiv. Hiv hiv. Pretty impressive, right? Blown away by my assets, aren't you? I may not be a second or third generation rich kid, but I'm something even better, a first generation creator. Cole, Serena hummed, her voice soft, sweet, and unbelievably coquettish. My feet are all sore and achy. The sound sent a shiver through Cole. Damn, her skills have leveled up. All right, come here. In the depths of his mind, the little devil on his shoulder cackled with greedy delight. The little angel lay defeated on the ground, feebly reaching out a hand and whispering, "No, a slow simmer tastes better." Okay, Serena whispered, her eyes shimmering. She glanced at the lights, then at the balcony. There were no buildings across from the balcony, just the main row below, and beyond that, the low-lying buildings and walls of the Eastwood campus. Her cheeks flushed. Cole, can you turn off the lights? Sure. Cole shot up and switched off the living room lights. It wasn't completely dark. The city lights from outside filtered in, casting a warm, yellow glow over the room. When he sat back down on the sofa, Serena said shyly, "Take off my shoes." After her shoes were off, Serena lay down, her eyes a mix of 5 parts shyness and 5 parts delight. For her, being with Cole was relaxing. It was a completely stress-free, joyful experience. There were no negative emotions, no pressure, no demands that she be a certain way. She enjoyed everything he did, which always felt measured and respectful. Having grown up in a family of public servants, she had been taught well, and her IQ and EQ were both high. She knew that Cole's lecherousness was limited, a playful, teasing meant to express his affection. It made her feel incredibly comfortable, and it was fun. She hoped this fun, interesting life could stay with her for a long, long time to come. Though he'd seen them many times, Cole still thought they were a work of art. Serena was tall, but she'd never done any hard labor, so her feet had been perfectly preserved. Cole glanced up at her face and saw she had shyly covered it with her hands. After half an hour of his meticulous attention, Serena was no longer hiding her face. Her watery eyes were fixed on him. A strange feeling bloomed in her heart. The more she looked at this person, the more handsome he became. Just looking at him made her happy and filled her with an immense sense of security. Is law school hard? Cole asked, wanted to help her relax from her academic stress. It's okay. Just a lot to memorize. It's a headache, she said. The topic change broke the spell of her shyness, and she instantly felt more at ease. Take it slow. Make sure you get enough rest, Cole said, a classic line of care that was really meant to make her even more comfortable with him. Okay, you too, Serena replied with a sweet smile. Half an hour later, Serena was curled up in Cole's arms, enjoying the extra service, a gentle back rub. After a while, Cole noticed she had gone still. Is she asleep again? Then doesn't that mean? Hiv hiv. He gently squeezed her earlobe and intentionally breathed on it, testing to see if she was really asleep. The body in his arms suddenly trembled. It startled Cole. He looked down and saw her eyelashes were lowered, completely still. She seemed to be sleeping soundly. He relaxed and continued his explorations. The body in his arms shifted again, burrowing deeper, her head burying itself in his armpit. Cole stopped, listening for a moment. Her breathing seemed even. She must still be asleep. Based on past experience, she'd probably be out for an hour or so. He felt at ease. But the head buried in his armpit had trembling eyelashes and furrowed brows. She was biting her lower lip, her mouth sometimes falling slightly open. Why does he like doing this? And his hand. Serena was dying of embarrassment, but could only feign sleep. Thankfully, that hand wasn't touching any of the truly sensitive places. But it still felt so strange. Why? After a moment, that strange feeling intensified, becoming something else. She couldn't help but open her mouth, biting down hard, an expression of what looked like exquisite agony on her face. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't pretend to be asleep. She threw her arms around Cole, her voice trembling as she cried out, "Ah, Cole!" Cole the rogue tightly hugged the person in his arms. Could she feel that even in her sleep? Or was she awake the whole time? Does it even matter? Not one bit. Cole smiled to himself. Awake, but pretending to be asleep was the perfect state of affairs. A few minutes later, Cole sensed that the person in his arms was truly asleep this time. He took off his jacket and gently draped it over her legs. The living room was quiet. He lightly stroked her back, gazing out at the distant city beyond the balcony as the fire in his blood slowly cooled. Serena was wonderful, but it wasn't time yet. In matters of the heart, physical pleasure wasn't the deciding factor. If he didn't care about the long term, he could indulge himself whenever he wanted. But for a girl with Serena's personality, he had to control the heat. This wasn't a microwave dinner. This was a slow-cooked brisket. It needed blanching, marinating, caramelizing, and simmering. Only then could it become a true masterpiece. From his initial thoughts of petty revenge to now, he had to admit something else had taken root in his heart. The stronger that feeling grew, the more he had to exercise restraint. His ambitions were vast, and they required great perseverance. Listening to the sound of traffic below, Cole began to think about what he needed to do next. Tomorrow, he had to train the promotions team, teach them how to expand to other universities. He also needed to integrate PayPal into the Tea Alchemist payment system. Their reps would probably come knocking soon. After that, his focus had to be on headline today. Time passed in warm tranquility. Nearly an hour later, Cole glanced down and found Serena staring up at him, her almond-shaped eyes bright and wide open. When did she wake up? Seeing she'd been discovered, Serena quickly buried her face in his armpit again. Cole patted her bottom. "Why didn't you tell me you were awake?" "I just didn't want to." "You're too bad. I'm never talking to you again," she said, her voice muffled. "What did I do that was bad?" Cole whispered teasingly in her ear. Serena squirmed, kicking her feet. "MPH, I'm not telling. You're just bad." Cole repositioned her, so she was lying comfortably again and stroked her head. A wave of tenderness washed over him. A true sweetheart like her really wasn't cut out for a life in politics. It would surely make her miserable. He said gently, "How about you become our family's legal counsel in the future? Forget about being a civil servant." A legal department was inevitable, and having Serena at its core would be perfect. But the status of a government official versus a corporate legal counsel was worlds apart. He wasn't sure she'd be willing to give up the power and benefits of the former. He didn't have complete confidence. But to his surprise, Serena suddenly shot up and threw her arms around his neck. Yes, I want to be your legal counsel. I don't want to be a civil servant. But you can't make me work overtime." Serena pouted, shaking her head with acute, childish glee, her eyes sparkling with joy. Her cherry-like lips were inches from his, her milky breath making Cole feel a sudden urge for a glass of milk. She agreed just like that? Cole was a little surprised. He smiled. "No overtime. Your work hours are completely flexible." He thought to himself, "No overtime, but you'll have to give me nightly reports." Daytime reports could work too. Still, he felt the need to offer a meaningful reminder. "You have to be sure about this. Being our family's legal counsel is a lifetime appointment." The campus queen's arms suddenly shifted, rising up to kneel on his lap and wrapping her arms around his neck again. She lifted her chin, and like a child, said sweetly, "I've thought about it. It's what I want." "All right, then I'll be counting on you from now on," Cole said, deeply touched, as he gently stroked her dark hair. "Nice. I just saved myself a chief legal officer salary. MHM. Then I'll specialize in civil and commercial law. And I'll get a PhD for you." "Wow. So our family will have a doctor of law." "Oomph. Of course. But won't getting a PhD be exhausting?" "Not really. I could take my time." "All right, my future doctor of law. Please address me as CEO Cole." "No. Then what will you call me?" Big brother." "That's not right." "Then what do you want to hear?" "I want to hear. You call me." Cole leaned in close to her ear and whispered something wicked with a grin. How can you be like this? You're that." Serena's face flushed crimson with embarrassment, and her body bounced in protest. She fidgeted for a long moment. Just as Cole was about to give up on unlocking the achievement, she suddenly pressed her lips to his ear and whispered the requested word. As soon as it was out, she buried her face in his neck, mortified, her body squirming. "You're really that, making me say such things." That single word sent a tidal wave of pleasure through Cole, a feeling so intense it could have circled the globe 2.5 times. "Sorry, Dad, didn't mean to poach your title, but here we are." Cole suddenly felt something wasn't quite right. He paused for a few seconds, then held her tighter. "Yes, just like this." "Just like what?" "Just like Like what? Oh no. Yes. You villain. After a bout of mutual torment, Cole managed to suppress the little devil in his brain once more. He chalked it up to endurance training. Positive energy maxed out. Serena seemed a bit tired, lying limp against him for a long while before recovering. They held each other like that until after 10, before finally leaving the Golden Bay residences. By the time Serena made it up to her dorm room balcony, she could only see Cole's retreating back. He ran off again without waiting for me. She watched with a hint of longing until his figure disappeared from sight. Inside the dorm, she gave Zoe a hasty greeting and grabbed her pajamas to go shower. The next morning, in the Student Venture Lab's public conference room, this meeting had to be quick. Other startups were waiting to use the space. 8 members of the new promotions team sat around the table, notebooks and pens in front of them, listening to their freshman boss's training session. All right, let's go over our product. Our website is called Headline Today. It's a platform built on compatibility, coexistence, autonomy, personal creation, and personalized reading, Cole began. Everyone can show off, brag, and create their own legends on it. And they can gain fans, make money, become internet celebrities, even get ad deals. Cole explained the advantages of Headline Today in the simplest terms possible, then moved on to promotion strategies. 2 people will be assigned to each university. You'll go directly to the student government, post on the campus online forums, and hire students to set up promotional booths on campus. The booths should be positioned at dorm entrances and other student gathering spots. You have the authority to make temporary hires, and your first product pitch will be to them. How well they pitch depends on how well you train them. Also, the booths can take different forms. You can have a physical booth, or you can have a stealth booth, infiltrating the customer base directly. Tell the student government that will pay the temp staff $80 for an 8-hour day. I'll arrange for the funds this afternoon. In 2010, campus work-study jobs paid around $8 an hour. Offering $10 was a great deal, especially for an easy gig that basically involved hyping up a new website. Cole then broke down the concepts of physical and stealth booths, drilling the ideas into his new employees' minds. While they're working the booths, you have another important task. You will patrol, record their work, and identify the top performers. In other words, your targets are the student government and the people you hire. Of course, you yourselves need to be in promotion mode at all times. On the first day of the launch, you'll all come with me to Eastwood Tech. I'll give you a demonstration. The 8 students all had some part-time job experience, and anyone applying for a promotions role naturally had the confidence and comprehension skills for it. The fact that their boss was going to demonstrate personally boosted their confidence. If they couldn't figure it out after seeing it done once, they'd have to question if they were cut out for the job. Cole, who had been observing their micro-expressions, was satisfied. He had high hopes for these 8. The promotions department would only get bigger, and they would be the foundation for expanding to universities in other cities. If they passed this test, each of them could become a leader. He wouldn't mistreat them. After answering a few questions, Cole said, "Now I'll go to the office and get some hands-on experience with the site." The particularly active junior was Yvonne. She was at least a 7 out of 10 in looks, with an incredibly outgoing personality, a true social butterfly. She was also a quick learner with high emotional intelligence. Cole had been watching her the most. If he trained her well, she would be a top-tier promotions and marketing talent, and the obvious choice to lead the department. 2 of the guys were also promising, calm and steady. They were on his watch list as well. 3 business days later, Headline Today's internet security registration was complete. Thanks to the engineering and content teams working overtime, the website had enough content to go live, and more was being added continuously. Each editor had dozens of accounts they were using to post. The 8 promoters had been practicing their pitches, ready to go at a moment's notice. Cole went to the Venture Lab's administrative office to find Tanya. "Tanya, I noticed the office next door has been empty. Can I rent that one too? I'm running out of space." "You need another one?" Tanya asked, surprised. "Yeah, as you can see, I've got a lot of people now, and I still need to build a content moderation team and a customer service team." "Okay, let me ask the director," Tanya said. A minute or 2 later, she was back. The director said it's fine. "You can start using the office now and just get the paperwork done when you have time." "Thanks, Tanya. And please thank the director for me." Cole was thrilled. It had gone so smoothly. He knew, however, that the administration was definitely keeping an eye on what he was doing. He just hadn't expected them to be so accommodating as to let him handle the paperwork later. The next morning, "Everyone, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Administration for Headline Today, Ms. Jasmine Yang," Cole announced to his current employees. "Hello, everyone. I'm Jasmine Yang. I'll be handling logistics for all of you from now on," Jasmine said with a poised and graceful smile. "Today, Jasmine was wearing a casual white blazer over a thin black cashmere t-shirt and jeans. She also wore a watch, giving her an air of mature, sharp competence. Faced with such a stunningly beautiful woman, the room fell silent for a moment, everyone too stunned to react. After a beat, Yvonne started clapping, and the others jolted back to reality. A wave of applause filled the room. Having a beauty of this caliber in the office was certainly easy on the eyes. Unfortunately, Cole added, Director Yang won't be working from the office full-time. If you have any administrative matters, you can contact her. Please get her contact info. From now on, Jasmine would handle all the onboarding paperwork and would be in charge of hiring for her own department. Cole was more than happy to be a hands-off manager. As the company grew, Jasmine would eventually be an executive-level director of administration. Hearing this, the guys in the room looked disappointed. Only Yvonne immediately went up to her, enthusiastically adding her on Messenger. A woman's intuition told Yvonne that Cole's attitude toward Jasmine was different. It almost felt like the boss was the junior, and this director of administration was the real authority. Jasmine calmly added everyone, noted their names, and immediately created a work group chat. Once that was done, Cole took the 8-person promotions team and Jasmine to the student government office at Eastwood Tech. At the Student Activities Center, they met with the head of the publicity department, a student named Amanda, whom Cole had contacted the day before. Amanda was about 5'3", an easy 8 out of 10 in looks. You didn't get to be head of publicity without being presentable. When she saw Jasmine, Amanda was visibly taken back. Who didn't know the recently departed star of the dance society? Jasmine, what are you doing here? Jasmine smiled and greeted her. This is my little brother. I'm his director of administration. Little brother? Amanda looked at Cole, her expression a mix of curiosity and amusement. So this is the little brother who snatched his sister away on stage. The story had spread all over campus. Rumor had it that Trevor, the guy with the guitar, was still furious. The promotions team members exchanged looks of dawning comprehension. After some pleasantries, they all sat down. Cole gave a brief introduction of his company's product and then got straight to the point. Amanda, I'd like to post a promotional article on the university's online forum and website, and also put up some signs around campus. As for the fee, name your price. Promoting on campus required an advertising fee, though it wasn't much, especially in 2010. These fees were a major source of funding for student government clubs. Amanda couldn't help but glance at Jasmine, who just smiled. Amanda, just charge what you normally would. Amanda immediately understood. Jasmine might have a reputation for being aloof, but she was always proper in her dealings. Cole, if you want to be on campus for a week, how about $2,000? Amanda, how about this? I won't bring any outside staff. We'll hire 20 promoters directly from Eastwood Tech. We'll pay them a daily wage of $80 for an 8-hour shift, settled at the end of each day. In that case, would a fee of $500 be acceptable? $500? Amanda considered it. This kind of promotion barely used any resources, and it provided 20 part-time job opportunities, which would reflect well on the student government. It will be a nice line on a resume. Okay, but the fee has to be at least $800. Deal. They signed a simple agreement on the spot. Cole left one male and one female promoter behind. The extroverted Yvonne was being saved for the toughest assignment, pioneering the most distant university. He gave the 2 remaining promoters a few more instructions and then left with the rest of the team. Jasmine, however, didn't leave with them. This was her family's business, which made her a promoter too. She was going to be involved in the conquest of Eastwood Tech. The publicity department quickly assembled a group of students interested in the part-time work. In a small meeting room, Jasmine and the 2 promoters trained the 20 new hires. Jasmine led by example, describing her own experience using the site. With a campus celebrity like Jasmine present, the 20 students were much more relaxed. They decided to forego physical booths, instead fanning out across campus and spreading the word in their group chats. On the athletic field, holy crap, Jasmine Yang has a page on some new website. There are pictures, a skinny guy yelled. Where? What? The guys nearby were immediately drawn in. Who didn't want to see pictures of Jasmine Yang? My roommate told me. It's a site called Headline Today. He just registered, and the system recommended girls from our school. The guy excitedly showed them his messenger chat. For real? You're not being punked? One guy asked doubtfully, leaning in to look at the phone. There are pictures. How can it be fake? The skinny guy showed them the screenshot in the chat. The other guy zoomed in. It was really Jasmine's profile, complete with a photo. Whoa, it's real. What's the website? My roommate said it's called Headline Today. Anyone can post pictures and videos, and the site will recommend your content to lots of people. If they like it, they become your fans. My roommate said you can even make money. Isn't that just like a blog? No, it's different. A blog doesn't recommend your articles. Unless you're a big shot, no one's going to see your stuff. A few other guys who had been chatting on the field wandered over. Where's Jasmine's page? Go to headline today. Come. I'm heading back to my dorm to check it out. The skinny guy was practically vibrating with excitement. The others watched him go, still half believing. You can make money just by posting pictures and videos? I don't know. Let's try it. I just want to see if Jasmine really registered. What was it called again? Headline today, I think. A short distance from the field, the skinny guy met up with a girl standing by the side of the path and gave her a subtle nod. The girl then walked back toward the field, heading for another group of students. The skinny guy, meanwhile, took a detour toward the badminton courts to repeat the performance. Using Jasmine as the hook, they could always grab the attention of a certain number of people, even girls. Everyone knew Jasmine was picky. She didn't even have a Twitter account. Why would she be interested in this headline today site? In the men's dorms, people were already logging on. The registration page was free, so why not give it a shot? To their surprise, after reaching the homepage, they saw a tab at the bottom that said People You May Know. A whole list of names appeared, and there she was, Jasmine Young. Her profile picture a stunning shot of her face in silhouette. Excitedly, they clicked on it. It was really her. She had 2 posts up already, photos from a jazz dance practice. When he went to follow her, he saw she already had 365 followers. The top of the page defaulted to a recommended feed. A few headlines caught his eye. Shocking. A guy and a girl from Eastwood Tech caught doing that in the woods. A knowing smirk appeared on the student's face. He clicked. A minute later. What the hell? What a ripoff. It's just pictures. What is this crap? The comment section was filled with similar complaints. The view count was an astonishing 3,000 plus. He didn't hesitate to add his own angry comment. Then he saw another headline. In the cafeteria, on a summer day, he met her. He hesitated, but ultimately decided to skip it. The next second, a new title refreshed on his screen. That night, my sister-in-law walked into my room. When I was all alone, after a moment's hesitation, that knowing, sly smile returned to his lips. Damn it, I got all ready, and this is what I get? Your 2-year-old sister-in-law should have taken a dump on you. The student was furious, unleashing a tirade in the comment section. After fuming for a bit, he saw a share button and had an idea. He reposted it to his own page. Might as well borrow this. Soon, he was drawn in by other content. He slowly discovered that the site was consistently recommending things he was interested in. Among them were authors who had posted professional-looking photo shoots. One, judging by her profile picture, was a campus queen-level beauty from Eastwood State University. This perked him right up. After scrolling through her sexy photos a dozen times, he followed her and sent a private message. Hey, I'm a photography enthusiast too. After sending the message, he quickly changed his bio to passionate about photography and downloaded a few nice pictures from the internet to post on his own page. The platform was simple and intuitive. He had it mastered in minutes. By the end of the day, Eastwood Tech had the highest number of new registered users. Cole knew this was expected. Jasmine's reputation had given them a massive boost. The total number of registered users surpassed 10,000. In Office 1520 of the Venture Lab, Wyatt and Leo from the engineering team were monitoring the data. Jenna and Marcus continued to optimize Headline Today's backend. The content team was a mix of laughter and frantic typing, occasionally slapping their desks in amusement. One of the male editors had a pained expression. This guy is confessing his love to me in the DMs. I'm gonna puke. What do I do? Just telling you need to focus on your studies, Fiona said offhandedly. She was in low spirits. Her heartfelt headlines had pitifully low click-through rates compared to the clickbait. The comments were few and far between. It seemed Cole was right. However, another idea had taken root. Tonight, after work, she was going to register a new account under a pen name and write the short stories she wanted to write. If she couldn't write romance, she'd never be satisfied. That evening, Cora, a finance major, received a message from Jenna, one of the creators of the old FacePower website. She was being invited to participate in an advertisement for Headline Today. All she had to do was register an account, do a photo shoot, and post one picture with a caption every day for a week. The pay was $500. At first, she was hesitant. She didn't know anything about this company. But Jenna explained that after the photo shoot, there were no other obligations. The pictures were simple, and the location was just at North Lake. Thinking it over, it was a lot of money for very little work. $500 could buy a nice dress. It was free money. Cora agreed. The next morning at 9, the area in front of the Venture Lab building was a vibrant scene, buzzing with the chatter of about 20 beautiful young women. The nerds in the offices above excitedly peered out their windows. Cora arrived with her dance partners, including Chloe, and the usual entourage of guys who followed them around. She noticed that many of the other girls were campus queens from other universities, most of them also accompanied by their own protective admirers. And then she saw that Julia and Simon were there too. The two acquaintances immediately grouped together. A moment later, Jenna walked out of the building with a guy. When Cora and Julia saw who it was, they, along with their friends, froze. "Everyone quiet down, please," Jenna announced. "This is the CEO of our company. Headline today, Mr. Cole Chun. Please give him a round of applause." A sparse, uneven smattering of applause followed. The campus queens stared at Cole in astonishment. "CEO Chun? We've never heard of a rich heir with that name." Then, a burning light ignited in their eyes. One of the girls from Eastwood Tech, however, looked puzzled, a feeling of déjà vu washing over her. "Hello, everyone. My name is Cole. I believe you're all clear on the job details. The photo shoot will be at Waverly Point. Lunch and bubble tea are on us," Cole said, scanning the faces of the young women before him. They were all in good shape. The photos would definitely be eye-catching. They had all come meticulously dressed and made up, which saved him the cost of renting outfits. When he saw Julia, his expression didn't flicker. It was all water under the bridge. Now, she was just a model here to do a job. "You'll be paid $300 today. The remaining $200 will be paid on the day you complete your obligations. If no one has any objections, you can sign the agreements." The campus queens exchanged glances. There were no major objections. A company based out of the Eastwood Venture Lab wasn't going to rip them off. Cora and Julia looked at each other, both seeing the shock in the other's eyes. They never imagined that besides the tea shop, Cole was also running another company. Cora had a vague recollection of hearing someone talk about it as she left the library one day, but she'd never been interested in that sort of thing and had paid it no mind. She never dreamed it was Cole. At that moment, Cora was consumed by regret. If only I hadn't been so cold to him in the cafeteria that day. If I had been friendlier, sweeter, even if nothing came of it, we could have at least been friends. Ever since the tea shop incident and the sponsorship fiasco, she'd been feeling pangs of remorse. Now, it was a gut-wrenching regret. Was there still a chance? "I'm not bad-looking, right?" she wondered. Julia was also filled with regret, but hers was mixed with more astonishment and determination. She already knew the Tea Alchemist had opened a second shop, but she had no idea about this other company. "If I had known, I would have swallowed my pride and gone to the tea shop every single day. I would have gotten his number," she thought. "I was too hasty that day, and I missed my chance. If I could get with him now, I'd have the halo of being the girl who was with him from the beginning, who supported him through the struggle. My position would be rock solid. The perks would be incredible. Designer clothes, brand-name bags, a little BMW, and no, I have to try again, no matter what." A glint appeared in Julia's eyes. She lifted her left hand as if to scratch her right ear, and under the cover of her elbow, she secretly tugged at the neckline of her cashmere V-neck. She pulled it down, transforming it into an off-the-shoulder top, revealing a pale expanse of her chest. Simon happened to turn his head and saw Julia's new neckline. A complex mix of emotions washed over him. He wanted to say something, but he lacked the standing to interfere with her freedom. He couldn't handle Julia's temper, but saying nothing felt awful. The thought of his goddess doing a photo shoot for this poser made him close his eyes in agony, his mind flooded with images of her being stolen away. Standing at the front, Cole's gaze swept over the group, and he had to fight to keep a straight face. "Seriously, Julia? You're pulling this move again? In the presence of a natural D-cup? That's not going to cut it. And your knight, in shining armor, is standing right next to you. Give a guy a little respect, will you?" Cole said, "Please wait a moment. The agreements are on their way. But I want to remind all of you of one thing. This photo shoot is an opportunity for you. If you keep posting to your accounts, you'll earn back this $500 countless times over in the future." Just as he finished speaking, the soft sound of footsteps approached. Jasmine, looking cool and composed, walked over holding a stack of freshly printed agreements. A young woman from the content team followed with a box of pens. "One for each of you. Please review it. And if you have any questions, you can ask," Jasmine said calmly. The campus queens were stunned for a second, completely forgetting what Cole had just said. Who among them didn't recognize the woman who had once received the most votes on Face Power? Cora and Julia looked at each other again, their expressions complicated. With Jasmine here, did they even stand a chance? "Director Young, I'll leave this in your hands. I'm heading back to the office," Cole said in a formal tone. It wasn't that he wanted to call her that, but Jasmine had insisted. Whenever she was present in a professional capacity, he had to use her title to avoid giving the impression of a family-run workshop. Of course, CEO Chun. Jasmine replied just as formally, looking at that beautiful, composed face, projecting an air of cool professionalism. Cole suddenly felt a surge of heat. He began to enthusiastically plan the future layout of the CEO's office. It'll need a big sofa, and I'll have to get the soundproofing done right. The 20-some young women set off, their moods a complex jumble. Cora and Julia were deeply disappointed because the one leading them wasn't Cole, but Jasmine and two photographers. Julia cursed her bad luck, glancing down at her V-neck turned off the shoulder top, her heart aching. This was an expensive shirt. I wonder if I can fix it. Once they reached North Lake, the girls' spirits lifted. It wasn't much work for $500. Plus, they were getting professional photos taken. They might as well treat it as a fun day out. Each one of them showed off her best angles, some acting pure and innocent, others cool and aloof. Facing the lake breeze, they let their hair dance in the wind, sometimes letting it fall across their faces for a half-hidden, mysterious look. The bevy of beauties at Waverly Point attracted countless stares for passers-by. Some guys, who hadn't dared to approach a girl in 3 years, postured like seasoned wolves, letting out low howls from a safe distance, hollow cries that betrayed a long and lonely acquaintance with their own right hands. With the addition of campus queens from various universities and the coordinated efforts of the promotion team, Headline Today's user base began to climb rapidly. When a melancholic, posed photo from a male student at Eastwood Engineering was intentionally recommended to a wider audience, it triggered a surge in likes and follows. Students who noticed this became ecstatic. This was different from Twitter. Ordinary people really had a chance to become famous, even if it was just a tiny bit of recognition. But the key was attracting girls. Hadn't that guy from engineering gained nearly 1,000 new female followers? And so, a deluge of posed photos and artistic shots began to spring up like mushrooms after rain. A student from Eastwood Agricultural University found that ever since he clicked on a headline titled, "Those Unspeakable Years with the Annie Next Door," he was constantly getting similar recommendations. The stories never delivered what he was hoping for, but they did have pictures, which was a nice consolation. Meanwhile, a nursing student from Eastwood Medical University discovered that Headline Today was always recommending the entertainment gossip she loved, like the latest on American Idol. Among the 20-some campus queens who participated in the photo shoot, some were incredibly quick to catch on. One girl, Ashley, hadn't been particularly interested at first, but when she logged into her account and saw her follower count had exploded to over 6,000, along with numerous comments and private messages, she was so excited she couldn't sleep all night. She keenly sensed the potential. From then on, she stopped passively posting photos and began to actively and consciously create content, responding to comments and carefully selected DMs, meticulously curating her online presence. Aside from a few of the more aloof girls, the others slowly began to cultivate their own accounts. They didn't need to be experts in any field. They just needed to showcase their beauty. It was a million times more convenient than begging for votes on face power. They were in control with their own loyal fan bases. It was an amazing feeling. They even began to hope that Headline Today's user base would continue to grow. Late that night, in Office 1520 of the Venture Lab, the lights were still blazing. Cole stayed behind with the engineering department, monitoring the back-end data. The number of registered users had surpassed 200,000, and almost all of them were active. They were nearly all students. Since it didn't cost anything, they'd log on to kill time. Those without computers went to the campus internet cafes. CEO Chun, as the amount of data grows, the four of us aren't going to be enough. We need to hire more people, and we need more servers, Wyatt said, his expression weary, a hint of concern for Cole's finances in his eyes. They were still constantly improving the system, and the rapid user growth was putting immense pressure on data analysis. The algorithm required a powerful back-end to support it. To meet Cole's demand for a good user experience, they had to keep optimizing the front-end framework, rendering speed, and page load times. Hire them. You decide who you need. And don't worry about the money, Cole responded decisively. Professional matters had to be left to the professionals. His job was to handle the logistics. His short-term goal was to capture the Rockford University market. As long as he didn't expand beyond that, he had enough cash to burn. The tea shop was also bringing in a decent daily revenue. And if he could just hold out until March or April of next year, he could cash out enough of his Bitcoin investment. There were still many things to worry about. Cashing out would take a lot of time. He couldn't just dump all his Bitcoin at once. He'd have to sell it off in small increments. And he'd lose a portion to exchange fees and currency conversion rates. But that didn't matter. It was all found money anyway. It was only because of the current regulatory environment that this was possible. In the future, it might be flagged as illegal money laundering. He'd never see a dime. His accounts would be frozen one by one. Of course, with enough proof, it was possible to get them unfrozen, but only possible, or if the receiving account was already overseas. Wyatt, you guys need to take a couple of days off in shifts. You can't afford to burn yourselves out, Cole said, clapping him on the shoulder. Even though they were short-staffed, he had to make them rest. They were his most valuable assets. All right, I really do need to sleep for a solid day. We'll split into 2 teams and rotate, Wyatt said. He knew this wasn't the time for pleasantries. He was truly exhausted. A month later, Rockford entered the early days of winter. Students donned their heavy coats, and the Tea Alchemist had long since rolled out its hot drink menu. With a large number of users now creating their own content, Headline Today was filling up nicely, which in turn attracted even more students to register. In this era, there were no other websites with a similar personalized recommendation feature. Headline Today was one of a kind. It had sparked a passion for creation and self-discovery in countless university students, allowing the site to grow at a fantastic pace, creating a new trend on campus. The engineering department had expanded to 8 people, the promotions department to 12, with 2 content moderators and 2 customer service reps. Yvonne officially became the head of the promotions department. She was a trailblazer. While others were still struggling with their first university, she had already conquered hers and was launching an assault on the second. Cole had personally inspected her work. Knowledge of Headline Today was widespread on her target campus, and that was enough. Another late night. After analyzing the back-end data with the engineering team, Cole finally headed back to his dorm. As soon as he walked in, he saw Preston posing dramatically while Javier took pictures of him. Seeing Cole, Preston sprang up, his hands outstretched, and a huge smile on his face before he even landed. CEO Chun is back from work. You must be exhausted. He grabbed Cole's hand and shook it vigorously. What's up? Cole asked, playing dumb. Nothing. Just wanted to welcome our CEO. Here, have a seat. Preston obsequiously pulled out a chair. If you have something to say, say it. Well, CEO Chun, you see, I only have 200-some followers. As your roommate, you must feel embarrassed for me, right? Don't worry, I've never looked down on you. So, can you give me an internal recommendation or something? Let her bro get famous. The court is dismissed, Cold deadpan. Old Chun, are you going to leave me to die? All I want is to be one of those. What did you call them? An influencer. Preston's voice was filled with crocodile tears, his acting skills on full display. What's in it for me? Cole asked deliberately. I'll cede the title of most handsome in room 305 to you. My looks are as trivial to me as a passing cloud. Then, Preston offered several other benefits that had zero value, but Cole remained unmoved. They were roommates, so an internal recommendation wasn't out of the question, but it had to be for something unique. Cole thought for a moment. I'll give you an idea. Please enlighten me, CEO Chun. Drop the idle persona. Do the opposite of what you're thinking. Cole gave him a mysterious, all-knowing smile. The guy was always posting handsome selfies with some pseudo-profound caption, but he always missed the mark of being genuinely cool. The opposite. Contrast. Contrast is what grabs people's attention. I feel like I don't get it, but I also kind of get it. Enlighten yourself. Once you figure out, you'll have made it. Preston fell in a deep thought. He was the only one in the dorm obsessed with becoming an influencer, even willing to shed the pretense of being a rich kid. Javier liked to watch, not participate. Frank was head over heels in a new relationship and had no time. As Cole's home base, Eastwood University was naturally the most deeply penetrated by his promotional efforts. Cole himself, as salesman number 1, would often be heard exclaiming, "Whoa, look at the legs on that junior. Headline Today is awesome." It was like those repetitive elevator ads, and it had a certain effect. As Headline Today became more ingrained in campus life, most students would log on to browse when they had free time. There was only one person who didn't, Cole's future finance chief. Luna didn't have a computer and never went to internet cafes. Cole was thinking it was time to pull Luna out of the Tea Alchemist. With 2 companies, he desperately needed someone he trusted to handle payroll, reimbursements, and procurement expenses. He could hire an accountant for the books, but the treasurer had to be Luna. The next morning at 10:30 at the original Tea Alchemist shop. It was the weekend, and Luna had come in early to help. She was busy at work when she heard Wendy lead the familiar greeting. "Welcome to the Tea Alchemist. What can we get for you?" Luna echoed the greeting before looking up. The first thing she saw was a stunningly beautiful woman, and she couldn't help but be impressed. Her features were the most perfect she had ever seen on another woman. She was dressed elegantly and gracefully, her expression calm, her eyes full of life. I'll have a vanilla latte, please, Jasmine said with a smile. She was just dropping by to check out the place and get familiar with the staff. Of course, one moment please, Wendy replied. The coffee orders were usually handled by Luna. She was the most skilled at brewing fresh coffee. Jasmine walked further into the shop, observing the decor, the layout, and the creatively written blurbs on the walls. The more she saw, the more she admired her little brother, her heart swelling with pride and affection. She chose a small round table and sat down, her gaze sweeping over the work area. At first, she looked at the baristas at the front, but then her eyes shifted and locked onto a figure who had just turned around. Beautiful, a real spark, quiet and gentle, and tall, and, wow, she seems to be very well endowed. Bigger than me. My brother has such a beautiful girl working in his shop. Jasmine's eyes narrowed slightly, then relaxed. There was no intimate relationship between them. That was her immediate conclusion. First, there was her appearance. In her dorm, Wendy and the others talked about everything, including how to tell if a girl was still a virgin. Things like her eyebrows following the brow bone, her hair having a natural sheen, the virgin's glow on her cheeks, or the clear, storyless look in her eyes. Jasmine never participated in these discussions, but she had once overheard Alex talking about it when a dance team member was having a bad day, and she had secretly looked it up online. A single one of those signs might not be accurate, but taken together, they were a sure thing. She knew her own eyebrows were smooth and close together. Second, there was logic. If they were intimate, he probably wouldn't have her working in a bubble tea shop. Sensing someone watching her, Luna looked up. Their eyes met. For some reason, Luna felt a sense of kinship with this beautiful older woman. It was a strange feeling. She didn't know her, yet she didn't feel like a complete stranger. They both smiled at each other. Luna, a little embarrassed, looked down and focused on her work. Seeing the girl's shy demeanor, Jasmine found her incredibly interesting. She sensed something inexplicable from her, something vague, as if they had met before, though she knew they hadn't. She didn't go over to talk to her, suppressing her curiosity. Baseless speculation wasn't her style, and it was pointless. The world was full of girls. If her brother became successful, the line of women waiting for him would probably stretch to Florida. It was impossible to guard against all of them. Everything depended on her brother's willpower. There was such a beauty in his shop, yet her brother was working from morning till late at night in the headline-a-day office, and the girl was still whole. That was enough. A man who couldn't control himself around women wouldn't change just because you were suspicious, and he certainly wouldn't leave such a beautiful girl untouched. That was human nature. It seems, Jasmine mused, that I'll have to keep training my dear brother's willpower to make him less susceptible to temptation. When her coffee was ready, she went to pick it up and left. As she took the cup, their eyes met again, and they exchanged another smile. For in the afternoon, the moment she saw Cole, Luna's calm eyes suddenly lit up. It had been days since they'd seen each other. They chatted on Messenger, but that was no substitute for seeing him in person. But she knew he was busy. She was aware of everything happening with Headline today. With work to do and several tables of customers in the shop, she could only press her lips together and give him a small, subtle smile. The smile was small, but her eyes shone with deep joy. After all, she was a girl, and it would be embarrassing to show just how much she missed him. Cole didn't interrupt her. There would be plenty of time. He was planning to walk her back to her dorm tonight. But before they could even speak, a sickly sweet voice chirped from the doorway. Cole turned. Ugh, what is Julia doing here? What a coincidence for her to arrive the moment he walked in. This one just wouldn't give up. Still trying to farm my fish pond? Dream on. It was clear Julia had dressed up for the occasion. She wore a skirt and a coat, her legs bare except for a pair of black thigh-high boots. Not even the December wind could stop her from showing some cleavage. Hello, do I know you? Cole asked, feigning ignorance. You have such a bad memory, Cole. I've been to your shop twice, and I was in a photo shoot for your company, Julia said with a dazzling smile, all of her former arrogance gone. In the work area, Luna snatched a cocktail shaker from Bree's hands and began shaking it furiously. Bree? Oh, I remember now. The big sponsorship drive, with your whole legion of admirers. The memory is still fresh, Cole said, first with an expression of dawning realization, then with a look of melancholy. Speaking of which, I haven't seen those generous sponsors in a long time. I really miss them. What legion of admirers? Julia had no idea what he was talking about, but she knew the number 800. Even though she hadn't contributed a dime, the feeling of being played was still potent. But did that matter? It had nothing to do with her, she giggled. Haha, you're so funny, Cole. You had them running in circles. If they were warriors, then you must be a conqueror. What the hell? Cole was baffled. What kind of provocative language was that? Anyone who didn't know better would think he had unleashed some kind of savage move on her. This woman was only 19, yet her manipulative tactics and turns of phrase were masterful. She was a prodigy in the world of emotional puppeteers. In his past life, she had been divorced twice before becoming a major influencer. In the work area, Luna was shaking the cocktail shaker as if her life depended on it, her face a clear mask of displeasure. This girl was pretty, but she was that. She gave off a bad vibe, not like the older sister from this morning, who had seemed so kind. Luna, can I have that? The drink is ready, Bree said, reaching for the shaker several times without success. Oh, okay. Luna snapped back to reality, sheepishly handing the shaker back to Bree. She picked up a fruit knife and started slicing an orange for a hot drink. Warrior or conqueror, neither can compare to a queen with her entire court at her beck and call, Cole said with a mysterious smile. Court? Julia was completely lost. What did that mean? But it didn't matter. She smiled, brushing the question aside, and looked deeply at Cole. Cole, can I get your number now? Her gaze was incredibly expressive, filled with adoration and admiration. After she spoke, she clasped her hands behind her back, gently biting her lower lip to project an air of vulnerability, as if she was afraid of rejection, ready to be ravaged at any moment. But Cole, no longer a naive virgin, could only sneer internally. A real blush versus a fake one. A rookie would never be able to tell the difference. He'd fall for hook, line, and sinker. But no matter how well she acted, the cold, calculating glint of ambition in her eyes was impossible to hide. It was as if another person was lurking inside her, holding a trident, calmly watching her performance. The moment you thought she liked you, that you could get close, and you opened your heart to her, you would hear her say, I prefer guys who are more gentlemanly. And then you'd be left hanging from the steel cable of gentlemanliness, unable to get down. It had to be said, some things were pure talent, like some socialites, masters of charm, who could effortlessly navigate the world of men. But she was a customer, so there was no need to be rude. That would be beneath him and give her ammunition. It's better to just say, I don't use Messenger, Cole was about to say, when he heard a sharp cry from the work area. He heard Bree's urgent voice. Oh my God, Luna, did you cut your hand? The confident Julia watched as a blur of motion shot past her. Cole had teleported behind the counter. She was so stunned she almost lost her composure. Did you cut your hand? Cole rushed over to Luna, who was crouching on the floor. Let me see. He saw a bead of blood welling up on the pad of her index finger. Napkins, he said. Bree handed him a pack. Cole pulled one out, folded it, and took Luna's hand, pressing the napkin firmly against the cut. Stop the bleeding first. We'll rinse it in a minute and put a bandage on it. Okay, Luna whispered. She looked up and saw the genuine concern and pain in his eyes. An array of sunshine instantly pierced through her gloom. She hadn't wanted that girl to get Cole's number, but didn't know how to stop her. In a moment of distraction, she'd sliced her finger. Cole held the pressure for a moment, then carefully lifted the blood-stained napkin. The bleeding had stopped, revealing a centimeter-long cut. Come on, let's rinse it. He pulled her up and led her to the sink. The two newer employees moved aside. They weren't surprised. They had long known that their boss had a special place for Luna. After rinsing her finger, Cole held the pressure for a moment, then carefully lifted the blood-stained napkin. The bleeding had stopped, revealing a centimeter-long cut. Come on, let's rinse it. He pulled her up and led her to the sink. The two newer employees moved aside. They weren't surprised. They had long known that their boss had a special place for Luna. After rinsing her finger, Cole gently patted it dry with another napkin before applying a bandage from the shop's first aid kit. Outside, a slightly awkward Julia hadn't left. Instead, she had sat down at a round table and ordered a bubble tea. A good hunter, if the prey was worthy, had to be patient. But when she saw Luna turn around, her pupils constricted. A sense of foreboding washed over her. She had seen this girl the last time she was here, but back then she had been dressed plainly. Even with a pretty face, she hadn't seemed particularly remarkable. But now was different. The right clothes perfectly complemented the girl's beauty, showcasing a purity that Julia knew was far beyond her reach. And especially, her chest. As a woman who was also proud of her assets, she could recognize that kind of commanding presence from a mile away. If she took off her sweater, it would probably be even more explosive. She herself was no match. The confidence she had been building up suddenly evaporated. Luna, are you feeling better? You should take a break, Cole said, his fawning completely sincere. I'm fine. It doesn't hurt anymore, Luna said, her face flushing, but this time it was with happiness. What made her even happier was that his wandering eyes weren't looking outside. They were focused entirely on her. She knew it was shameless to think this way, but the deep satisfaction and small sense of triumph she felt crushed all other emotions. "Luna, come on. Let's go out for a bit," Cole gestured to her. "Okay." As they walked out from behind the counter, Cole still managed a smile and a nod for Julia. "Hey, enjoy your drink. I've got something to take care of, so I'm heading out." She had bought a tea, which made her a customer. Politeness was required. Julia smiled and nodded back, her smile hiding a bitterness only she could taste. It was getting cold in the winter. Riding a scooter, his hands on the handlebars, would quickly turn red from the chill. When they arrived at the Dahlia boutique, Luna realized he was taking her shopping again. She felt conflicted. It felt wrong not to refuse, but she didn't really want to, and she knew refusing would be pointless anyway. She stood there, unsure of what to do. Then Cole's arm wrapped around her waist, sending a tingly, reassuring warmth through her that banished all other thoughts. The boutique owner beamed. This handsome young man was back again. He picked out 2 down jackets, one white and one pink, plus a pair of fleece-lined pants and matching shoes. After a discount, the big spender swiped his card without hesitation, making the owner's face crinkle into a joyous smile. Cole felt it was necessary to spoil Luna. Besides his preference for natural D-cups, he also needed to take care of his finance chief's well-being. As for Jasmine, she didn't lack for clothes. In fact, she was the one who bought clothes for him. Cole had a big gift planned for her birthday. He had also wanted to buy clothes for Serena, but she had told him 2 days ago that her father was having some sent over. So he decided to get her something else for her birthday instead. Only Luna was all alone, with no one to rely on but him. As his trusted confidant and future head of finance, he couldn't let her feel neglected. He brought up the work matter that evening as he walked her back to her dorm. They didn't take the scooter, walking back to campus together. "Luna, from now on, you can go to the tea shop whenever you want, but your main job will be to handle the finances. You don't have to work a fixed schedule. Just handle payroll, reimbursements, and paying for supplies," Cole said, his arm around her slender waist, his hand getting a little restless.